Canada is the second largest country on Earth. It's larger than the United States, larger than China, and almost as large as all of Europe. Yet only around 40 million people live there. That's fewer people than California alone. So, where is everybody? Is Canada simply too cold? Or is there a much deeper reason why one of Earth's biggest countries remains astonishingly empty? Because once you look beyond the maps, you'll discover that Canada's empty spaces are no accident. They're the result of geography, history, economics, and one of nature's greatest barriers to human civilization. Today, we're uncovering the fascinating reasons why Canada has so few people. We'll explore frozen wilderness, ancient glaciers, isolated landscapes, hidden economic realities, and the surprising reason why nearly 90% of Canadians live within about 160 kilometers or 100 miles of the US border. By the end of this video, you'll see Canada in a completely different way. When most people look at a map, they see Canada as an enormous blank canvas. But maps can be deceptive. Much of Canada's land stretches deep into the Arctic. These northern regions experience winters that last for months. Temperatures can fall below -40 degrees Celsius. In many places, the ground never fully thaws. It's called permafrost. Building roads, houses, airports, or pipelines on permanently frozen ground is incredibly difficult and expensive. Even when temperatures rise, melting permafrost can make the ground unstable, causing roads, buildings, and infrastructure to shift or crack. Large areas are also covered by forests, mountains, lakes, muskeg, and rugged terrain. In fact, Canada has more lakes than every other country combined. Beautiful? Absolutely. Easy to build cities on? Not at all. Nature has claimed much of this land for itself, and humans have struggled to change that. But Canada's climate is only part of the story. The real explanation began nearly 20,000 years ago, during the last ice age. Thousands of years ago, massive glaciers covered almost all of Canada. These ice sheets were several kilometers thick. As they slowly moved, they scraped away fertile soil, flattened mountains, and carved countless lakes and rivers. When the ice finally melted, it left behind breathtaking scenery. But it also left behind land that was often rocky, thin-soiled, and difficult to farm. Compare that with places like Europe, India, or Eastern China, where rich farmland supported huge populations for thousands of years. Agriculture allowed civilizations to grow, cities expanded, populations exploded. Canada never had that same natural advantage across most of its territory. Only certain southern regions offered the fertile land needed for large-scale farming. And that's exactly where most Canadians still live today. But what happened next was even more surprising, because geography wasn't the only force shaping Canada's population. History played an equally important role. Unlike many countries with thousands of years of large urban civilizations, Canada remained sparsely populated for most of human history. For thousands of years, Indigenous peoples thrived across the land, adapting to forests, prairies, mountains, and the Arctic through diverse cultures and ways of life. European settlement on a large scale began much later than in many other parts of the world, and even then, most newcomers settled near rivers, lakes, and the Atlantic coast. As transportation improved, development naturally spread westward, but huge distances made expansion slow. Imagine trying to build railways, roads, schools, hospitals, and entire cities across millions of square kilometers of forests, mountains, wetlands, and frozen landscapes. the cost was enormous. Many regions simply weren't practical places for large populations. Even today, some communities can only be reached by airplane, seasonal ice roads, or boats. Distance remains one of Canada's greatest challenges. Look closely at a population map of Canada, and something incredible appears. Almost everyone lives close to one line. The U.S. border. Around 90% of Canadians live within about 160 kilometers of it. Why? Because that's where the climate becomes much more livable. Winters are shorter, growing seasons are longer, transportation is easier, trade is stronger, all developed in the southern part of the country. This location also placed them next to the world's largest economy. The United States became Canada's biggest trading partner. Industries, factories, ports, universities, and businesses naturally concentrated where people already lived. The farther north you travel, the fewer roads, the fewer towns, and eventually, almost no permanent cities at all. Yet despite all this empty land, Canada isn't running out of space. In fact, its biggest challenge may be something completely different. Today, Canada faces a very different problem, an aging population. Like many developed countries, birth rates have fallen, many workers are retiring. Businesses need employees, healthcare systems need staff, entire industries need skilled workers. That's why Canada has become one of the world's leading destinations for immigration. Every year, hundreds of thousands of newcomers arrive from around the globe. Not because Canada lacks land, but because it needs people. Even so, most immigrants settle in existing cities. Why? Jobs, universities, healthcare, infrastructure. Building entirely new major cities deep in the north would require enormous investments in transportation, energy, housing, communications, and public services. For now, expanding established urban areas remains far more practical. At first glance, Canada looks like a country with unlimited room to grow, but much of that land will likely remain wild for generations. Climate change may gradually make some northern regions more accessible. New technologies could improve construction on permafrost. Mining, renewable energy, and Arctic shipping may expand in some areas. But even then, building thriving cities requires far more than empty land. People need jobs, schools, hospitals, reliable infrastructure, economic opportunities, and communities that can sustain generations. Canada's vast wilderness isn't simply empty. It's one of the largest remaining natural landscapes on Earth, home to incredible forests, wildlife, freshwater lakes, and Arctic ecosystems found almost nowhere else. Its emptiness isn't a failure. It's part of what makes Canada unique. So the next time you look at a world map, remember this. Canada isn't empty because nobody wanted to live there. It's empty because nature shaped it that way. History reinforced it. And economics continues to keep most people in just a small corner of an enormous country. Do you think Canada will have 100 million people someday? Or will most of its wilderness remain untouched forever? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more incredible stories that explain our fascinating world. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.